Greetings and welcome to a video on the month of June for 2026. I decided to do a general monthly reading. I was starting them as through the Western astrological symbols of the zodiac, but for whatever reason I've decided to mix it up and do hopefully a continuous monthly reading. So for the first one, we are in June, not far into it now, and to start with I'd like to talk about the namesake of June, which comes from the Roman god Juno, which is very heavily based on the Greek counterpart god Hera. So, Queen of the Gods, a big one, and in the lore, the mythology of Juno, very much connected to females in all phases of life. And gods do like to travel, do like to be reimagined by various cultures, and we do have a mark on a lot of this world still to this day from the Roman Empire, for good or bad. Without judgment, you can make of it what you will. So, also quite heavily connected to vitality, adolescence, youth, and strangely enough, she ended up becoming a very important figure in a way to the kind of empire. So belonging to the Roman Empire had its perks, its merits. If you were fortunate enough, you could elevate your station in life to some degrees and gain more privileges and participation in wider society. So Juno became quite an important figure in the protection of stately life, or a pledge towards an empire, as one might say or see a country can become to various people, a motherland. And these are all very still relevant-ish themes to a lot of people. But also in Juno we find a parallel to a goddess of the home, or homely life, with in traditional society the children, patron saint of childbirth and women in general, in various phases they often travel through, such as marriage, even conception of children. She was associated with that. So we'll pause on that for a minute. But there's a lot more, and mythology is a lovely, fascinating realm to immerse oneself in. So the month does, I would say, have a focus on definitely what you might term the divine feminine, and also your relationship to that, whether you be a female, a male, something beyond the spectrum between those poles. It doesn't matter, we all have relationships to femininity and feminine energy. So that's a big theme in this. And also, I would say, to our inner home. Um, yeah, yeah. So the not just the spaces we find ourselves in when we leave our ventures in the world and return to a familiar place, but also very much so the spaces we inhabit within ourselves is very, very much a consistent home we always return to and always have. And it makes no difference, this reading, so much whether you're Northern Hemisphere heading into summer, longer days, celebrations towards summer solstice, or whether you're in southern realms heading into winter and winter solstice time. It's always important to take time with yourself and cultivate that and respect it and work with it. And essentially this is what this reading in a large part is about. So we'll go through some of the cards and a rune and finish with a reading from one of my favourite writers and poets, Rumi. Yeah, so from decks I don't use quite enough. We're starting with the Hermit from Alchemical Garden Tarot. And this card here, lovely card here, there we go. The Hermit is peyote. Now, those that are not familiar with this small growing ground dwelling cacti, it's a very potent hallucinogen and very sacred also, and it's commonly used to facilitate inward journey and vision quest work. So a common story in Native American culture is of the spirit journey where substances ingested, a being is removed from, well, goes to a place away from distractions and undertakes the trip and comes back with some learning, whether that be an identification towards a spirit animal, a pathway, something, but it's oftentimes seen as a rite of passage. And again, this is a reminder to, in ways you can, take yourself away from engagement in the external outside world, distraction world, to attune to yourself, to go inward and seek the inner vision of yourself, of your own light, of your mission here, of your purpose. It's easy to navigate on autopilot and go through routines, regimes that we can become adjusted to, and they can work fine for a time, but it's always a nice practice to take time out and check in. And following this card we have card number 2, another Major Arcana card from the Aleister Crowley deck, and we have the High Priestess. yeah, so the kind of female archetype, the first one in the tarot deck, traditionally following the magician. The High Priestess is about connection to the internal spaces. In a way, to connect to wisdom and understanding. Now, yeah, the High Priestess is about things like intuition, dreams, knowledge being revealed. Very, very wise figure. And very much a figure that doesn't necessarily take fools kindly, and also is not somebody that is going to bestow wisdom unless the being asking or seeking it is prepared to offer something. It's a trade. Oftentimes a form of sacrifice. Now, this can be something along the lines of foregoing something, or choosing to dedicate some time within one's life to seek those quieter spaces so wisdom can be revealed. So again, another call to take time out from the busyness, put time aside, forego something that maybe keeps you more in the appearance of world external around you, and have some quieter time, have some gentler inner reflective time. And really, this is to help gain wisdom, insight in who you are, what's important, where your values are, what you are actually working towards, aligning to. All of these sorts of things can be revealed. The High Priestess can also reveal a lot about the behind the scenes workings nature of things, whether that be in the larger world or in your own life. And taking the time out isn't to remove yourself from the world and dwell elsewhere, despite how appealing that may appear to be at times. It's to help tune yourself to naturally be more in the world, the immediate world around you, more engaged, more present, more conscious, more focused, more prepared, and with more understanding. Now, following along from the High Priestess, we have a card from Niu, which is an oracle deck that belonged to my mother, who passed away not too long ago, and it's quite nice to have this. And a lot of the words, stories, symbolism come from the indigenous people of the lands where I was born and have spent most of my time. New Zealand, Aotearoa. And we have this wonderful card, Kaipuku, which says underneath it, the bottom there is a bit of light, but too much light, it says indulgence. Right. So, from the book, I read the story. The story referenced for this card is about a part godlike woman, mythical woman, who lived in a cave, and she ended up finding a young warrior that she perhaps took a fancy to for some reason, and kidnapped him to keep as a pet. So she took him to her cave, and in this cave there were multitudes of treasures or taonga, exotic birds, reptiles, just wonderful, wonderful things. So this man who was kept there as a pet, as a new collection to her other treasures, wasn't too happy about the situation, and convinced this female to go out hunting for a while. And his plan while she was doing this was to take a lot of the treasures and make his escape. So, and this happened. And she came back very distraught and annoyed, and the male who stole the treasures was very pleased and very happy with himself. Not only gaining his freedom, but also a whole bunch of treasures. So we kind of have two sides of the theme of indulgence or greed expressed in that story, which is the hoarding, keeping to oneself the riches of life, or the joys of life, or the beauty of life. And we also have, on the other side, we have somebody who has I suppose envy of what somebody else has, and wishes to take what is essentially not theirs. So this card in particular is kind of tying into these other two cards, is talking about how taking time out for the world, for the world, is very good, is nourishing. You can gain insights, wisdom, develop things, strengthen yourself, do all these other things, but it's not advisable to put yourself above the world, or above the need to give back, or to share your wealth or wisdoms and participate in the world. And it's also advisable that when taking your time in communes, identifying with yourself, especially if you're going to look into a particular system or way, could be multitudes of differing things. There's so many out there, religious, spiritual, cult even, teachings, practices. There's a consideration to not take what isn't yours. And essentially that's what doesn't necessarily feel right or resonate or is for your highest good. Essentially, some people find great wisdom, value in a particular pathway or step or process that others might not be suitable for. So it's about having discernment around that, and also avoiding the trap of envy. Looking around, it's easy to look at somebody else's situation or perspective and think, oh, they've got what I want, or gee, they've got it better than me, or I want some of their stuff. But invariably, we're all built different, and have different pathways and journeys. And it's not advisable. It's not advisable to walk someone else's path, or to take someone else's learning and development to get to where they've got, or achieve what they've achieved, or accrue what they've accrued, and feel that somehow that's going to work for you, or fit for you, or bring some boon or blessing to you. So it's really just a caution on that particular aspect of thinking, or looking at the external world around you. And especially when you are cultivating the spaces within yourself. Now, to follow up, we have a lovely rune, which I keep forgetting I have, and this one is Thurisaz, or Thurisaz, however it's said. I should look more into that. So this has kind of two-ish meanings or reflections. It can be associated with conflict or difficult situations. That is in its other position. It is effectively reversed, which to me signifies not so much external kind of conflict in the external world. Yes, there is that out there, if you so seek it, but more, it springs to mind more defensiveness. Even in its position, the triangle is pointing kind of back inward towards the hermit. You've got a flat face like a shield. So it's kind of like, it isn't a bad practice to be defensive in the sense of what destroys your peace, or what you actually let interrupt or infiltrate into your world, your realm. It's a good practice to be discerning on those things, especially when you maybe are contemplating and working in some internal spaces of yourself. The other very nice association to this rune is with a thorn, and associations to thorn hedges and hedge witches, which are about crossing boundaries and thresholds. A hedge witch is somebody who can look through liminal spaces into other realms, whether that be other realms of themselves or other realms of realities of this reality that are subtler to see and perceive and work with. So it's a very good month, I would say, to be in tune with all of that. So again, more internal, introspective time and phases for this month will be of good blessing for yourselves. And to finish up, almost finish up, we have another card from the same new deck. And chuck that one there. And this one is Moya. I should say, there's a macron over the A, vision. We have this fantastic macabre light symbolism and radiance. So again, it's a really, really good time to focus and fine-tune what your vision is for yourself in this world. And taking that time will make it that much more succinct, cohesive, powerful, and set you up in really, really good foundations for the coming few months of this fantastic year. And so kind of, yeah, we're running fine on time. I also decided to do a random page oracle reading from Rumi. So to finish up, read from the page I opened it to. We have two short poems. The first one is called Polish. If you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished? So, very fitting for the rest of the cards. I could explain it, but there's no real point. I think it's fairly self-explanatory if you are open to wonderful wisdom of the mystics who speak so simply and eloquently. The next one is the spiritual surgeon. Can the water of a polluted stream clear out the dung? Can human knowledge sweep away the ignorance of the sensual self? How does a sword fashion its own hilt? Go, entrust the cure of this wound to a surgeon, for flies will gather around the wound until it can't be seen. These are your selfish thoughts, and all you dream of owning. The wound is your own dark hole. And yeah, so essentially choices are yours too. Have your selfish thoughts of, here we go, of hoarding or of stealing, and also I'll drop this one down again. Of continuing to look external, to fix a thing that may potentially be more of an internal kind of situation going on. So that is the reading for the very fine month of June. May you have a wonderful one, wherever this may find you at. And Aroha Nui, which means big love in Te Reo, and we'll see you. Not literally see you, but hopefully you'll get some value and watch the next video.